Hey guys, here with Chris with Project Life Coach. Chris here. This is Jonathan.
What's going on, guys?
Jonathan was a co-founder of Project Life Coach. For you new viewers, you might have not met him yet. He was there with me in the beginning. Today we did Theta healing
Yes.
on some Jonathan's work, and we are doing the topic of
Decision making,
yes.
right? Basically, we'll get into it, but it's about really trusting yourself and making the decisions and living with your decisions.
Cool. All right, we're live. Okay, so Jonathan's foot was hurting, and he had a cramp in his foot. And just from textbook stuff, if your foot hurts, it means you have trouble moving forward. Also, there was another issue of being butthurt when people don't respond to your text messages. I'm sure we can all relate when people don't call you back. We only got to one of the topics today, so we're gonna delve into like the foot cramp, and basically it ended up being about being able to make decisions in life and trusting your decisions and being supported by your family. So I think a lot of people can relate to this topic.
Absolutely. And it's been a recurring theme for me. For those of you guys that don't know, I've had a lot of issues, I guess you can say, with my parents, challenges that we've been working on, and this is actually quite surprising because usually it's stuff that I have to do that has to do with my mom, but this time it had to do more with my dad, and we're gonna get into it in a couple minutes here.
So what is your relationship with your dad like? I mean, a lot of people have strained relationships with their fathers.
Yeah. Mine's actually pretty good. He was there for me growing up, and I mean, he worked a lot, but I was in Boy Scouts, and I played Little League sports. It was pretty good, and he's always supported me. He's always been he's always supported me financially. Anything to do with education, my parents were always there for me. So that being said, my mom, on the other hand, has always been the person that's, she's always worried, and she's always, stressed out about things and making sure that I'm going to be successful and this and that. But, after doing a lot of work with her and on myself, I finally have a really, really good relationship with her right now. And with my dad, it's more recent. I've been talking to him a lot more, but he tended to be on the negative side of things. I'd come up with an idea, and he'd just come up with like 101 ways that it wouldn't work. And he'd just be really closed-minded and narrow-minded on certain things. And it's just the way that he is. It wasn't a big deal. He wasn't trying to fight me on anything. It was just that's how he was raised. He was in debate, and he's used to laying out arguments.
Okay.
So it's just just different times, different cultures, different people.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Do you want to talk about? So right now we're going into like
Okay.
the story of your dad, how he questions a lot of your decisions, and it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It makes me feel like I always ask like, why can't you trust me? And I feel inadequate. Not so much inadequate. It was more of a self-worth thing. And that was, it was like, am I good enough? I'd always question that. And it was almost like any good ideas I had, he would knock them down before I even tried. So it was kind of like I lost before even trying. I'd given up before I even really tried. Maybe some of you guys can relate to something like that. And I guess it felt very sad to me because, my own dad didn't believe in me. And maybe I deserve that because in the past I've let him down a lot of times. I've hurt him. I was involved with drugs, alcohol, gangs, violence, and I have broke his trust many, many times. But recently I've been regaining that. And the question was, how does that serve you for, my dad treating me this way? And I guess what I came up with was that it's my dad's way of showing his love. It's really the only time he ever talks, passionately about anything. He's a very quiet, kind of poker face kind of guy, but he's really passionate about telling me when I'm wrong or how this is not good and how that's bad. And it's not all bad. this is just kind of from my perspective, so I may be exaggerating a bit, but that's just how I felt.
Yeah, I think so. Jonathan was telling me the only time when his dad would talk to him is when he was telling Jonathan that he's making bad decisions, and in some way, it's almost like okay. So it's weird because it's almost like you want to make bad decisions, so your dad will talk to you.
Yeah.
You know how like some kids who don't get attention, they'll like do bad stuff in school,
Yeah.
so their parents will pay attention to them.
Yep.
And this wasn't exactly what was going on, but it's kind of like the similar model.
Well, yeah,
right?
it's similar. I mean, any attention is better than no attention, and my dad's very quiet, so getting him to talk it's kind of cool because I want him to be passionate about something, even if it's telling me that I'm wrong. Like, hey, maybe that's cool if it's gonna help him. Cool. So you asked when was the first time that this happened. Well, I think the first time I really felt it was when my house got raided. By the police, and that really woke me up. It wasn't my dad telling me that, it was myself, realizing the path I was going down was not necessarily the right path to go down under. So what I'm doing was wrong. Oh, also I made this not so good real estate investment. I spent about $20,000 in this real estate investment company and didn't really get much out of it. I didn't really learn much. So I wasn't really good at making, financial decisions. So how did this experience serve you? So what did I really learn from it? I learned that I was pretty impulsive. I'm a very emotional buyer. So when I get emotional, I make decisions on emotion, and I know that's not good, especially for business. At the same time, let's see here. I was, I'm afraid of my own decisions. I'm not sure what that says.
What's that?
I don't know.
Oh, I was thinking it's probably a pain trigger.
Oh,
because
a
I noticed
pain trigger.
it looks like porn.
Okay. I don't know what that says,
Pain
but
trigger.
yeah.
Afraid of own decisions.
Yeah,
Sorry, it was messy writing. I have like carpal tunnel on my wrist.
Okay, so yeah, it was basically I would make these decisions based on emotions, and I bought a timeshare, and that'll be in here later. That didn't pan out very well, and anytime I just get emotional, like very happy, even sometimes very sad or mad, I would make decisions based on that. So I'd go out and buy alcohol or drugs before. That was my way of dealing with emotions. And let's see, let's go ahead and continue with this right here. So now we got into the beliefs that I had, right? And maybe Chris, you can share your process a little bit about how you did this.
Yeah, sure. So before we were just talking about stories, right?
Yep.
And then now we're getting into a little bit more concrete. Let's distill this stuff into these sentences, these beliefs.
Yep.
And this took a lot of finesse because it wasn't myself, it was someone else who Jonathan, who's like the client, in this situation.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm like asking him like, okay, does this feel right to you? No. Or let's change the word. Does this feel right? You believe that your dad doesn't trust you? No. Okay, you feel like he does. Right. So it was a lot. Now everyone is different. Like the person watching this video, they might experience something different.
Right. I think you make that a really good point. Is specific words can trigger certain emotions in different people. So maybe you say a word, and although it's, it makes sense to you, but for me, it wouldn't really hit. But I can say the same message using a different word, and just that one different word can change everything. So like we started with my father shows his love by arguing with me, and that was really big because argue was the key word for me. Like we would always get into arguments, and it was like, that's just his way of showing love, I guess. And then my father doesn't trust me. He doesn't believe in me. Those were really, really big for me as well. Let's see, what other limiting beliefs did I have here? Now, maybe for the viewers, Chris, maybe you can tell them what kind of, how do you come up with the beliefs? Like, what are the questions they can ask themselves to figure out what kind of limiting beliefs that they have?
Oh, shit. Because I'm not sure. Well, it took a lot of experience, a lot of work.
Well, what's like a simple question that they can ask themselves, like to start? So they start telling the story of, okay, you know, this is my relationship with my parents. You know, you have these. When's the first time it happened? And you know, how did that experience serve you? And then how did you transition that into starting to list out these limiting beliefs? What's a good question to start them with?
All right, cool. Actually, yeah, I remembered that I have a framework.
Okay.
So basically, the framework is if A equals B, B equals C, and C equals D, then you can make the assumption that A equals D. It's not always true.
Okay.
So basically, this is how it works. So let's say A is you feel like you can't move forward in life.
Okay.
Right? And then let's look for the first time that happened, which is B, let's say one time I made a bad decision and the police came to my house.
Yep.
And then C, what you learn from that experience is that you don't make good decisions.
Okay.
And then D, probably, I guess the conclusion is you're afraid to make decisions because you know that your decisions won't be good. So you have a belief, so you're like, oh, how come I can't decide anything? Well, after you look at how do you feel, that's one. When's the first time this happened? What is the lesson you learned? And then I think, and then you can...
And then you draw the conclusion
yeah,
from
you draw
there.
the conclusion. A equals B equals C equals D.
Okay, so we've got that on here. So it looks like the questions are on here, right? How did you feel? Or when was the first time you experienced this? How did the experience serve you? Or what did you learn from it? And then the limiting beliefs is the drawing of the conclusions. So after sharing my story with Chris, is he kind of put them into ways like, he started asking me questions like, is this how you feel? So he said some things. He said, well, you know, my father shows his love by, you know, fighting with me, being condescending towards me, arguing with me. And that one was the one that hit. So for you guys out there, you can kind of figure out if you have certain relationship issues with a certain person, maybe how do you feel, and write those limiting beliefs that you might have down. Like, you know, maybe my mother never seems to pay attention to me, or my mother's always yelling at me and making me feel stupid, or whatever it is. Just write those things down. The reason being, we're able to change that, right? And that's with what's gonna happen here. And if you guys have seen previous videos, then you know Chris helps you with the solution as well. So let's just go through this. Okay, so I question my decisions. I doubt my decisions. That was pretty big. I make poor financial decisions because of all the mistakes I've made in the past. I can't balance emotional and logic properly. Yeah, so my logic and my emotion. I'm very logical or I'm very emotional. I'm never, you know, half and half. It's like I'm either pure logic or pure emotion, and I base my decisions based off of those. So an example of that is, logically, I can see how to make money. I know the steps how to make money, but when I focus only on the money and all the logic, the money doesn't come in. But when I focus on too much emotion, sometimes that's, you know, I'll invest in something that I don't have the money for, and that might not be the best investment for me. So you've got to have a good balance for both, and that's what I wanted to work on. Okay, so affirming beliefs. So Chris, you wanna kind of chime in here on how do you change these limiting beliefs into the positive affirming beliefs?
Yeah, sure. So now basically what's in bold is basically I take the sentence, which is basically it's a negative phrase in some sort of way. And then you just do the opposite. So everyone has their own kind of flavor and take on it. So Jonathan, it says, my father shows me his love by supporting me emotionally. Before it was your father supported you by arguing with you. You know, and it's just write an alternative version. If there was a genie,
like like an opposite. Right.
What would you wish for if you wanted the opposite?
Right. Exactly.
And it takes a lot of time, and this actually took a lot of time. Like sometimes the limiting belief does have a purpose. Like for example, for your father to question you, maybe there's some, you know, maybe there's a reason because he's smart, he has experience.
Right, and he wants the best for me. I'm sure there's the best intentions.
And then it was like, okay, so you want him to give you advice, but maybe he gives you advice in a way that's more conversational, not condescending, you know, like he respects you more. And I think that's what we're going for here, you know. Like,
yeah. I think this first time around we're just changing
Yeah.
the decision. You're like, okay, going through this process, we would go through the limiting beliefs, and then he'd be like, okay, well, what do you want to feel? What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, this is like creating your life. I like you said that you're recreating your beliefs, you're recreating your life in your own way. What would you want?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like I said, I want to own my decisions. I want to make the perfect decisions for the perfect time. With whatever decision I make, I'm 100% good with it. Yeah, that was really big for me because, you know, I'm always questioning myself, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do that? And for me to be able to be good with whatever decision I decided to make. I make smart financial decisions, right? And I think you mentioned that I use the word smart instead of just good financial decisions, because that's really what I want. I want to make smart. I want to make financial investments or decisions that are going to have a return on investment, right? Instead of just spending money to spend it.
You know, I think it's interesting that you said smart instead of good. Like, good to me means someone told me what the right answer is. So I made the right answer. I made a good decision.
Okay.
But when you say smart, to me, it means you did your research and then you made it based on logic. You know, because smart is, you know, kind of a logical, actually not really emotional thing, right?
Right.
Like, you can make a good decision based on emotion.
Yes.
But to make a smart decision, that's kind of using some logic and some studying and some knowledge there.
Yeah, exactly. There's more research involved. There's more due diligence, I would use. You know, in real estate terms, we call it due diligence. Just really looking at everything. Right? And then that goes into, I make decisions using the perfect balance of emotion and logic. And the reason I say emotion too, because emotion can be good too. Sometimes you just get like a gut feeling, like an intuitive, like, you know, I just need to do this for whatever reason. And I can't really explain that, but it doesn't, you know, just because you feel good doesn't mean it's the right decision either. So that's why there has to be that combination of emotion and logic. I am to get things done and finish things up. Okay, so I'm able to get things done and finish things up. So a big piece of the decision making is sometimes I commit to things and I start them and I never finish them. And talking to you, Chris, you're like, you know what? Just, you know, get it done. You get things done. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just, I'd like to have that. I'd like to just be able to get things done. You know, I can always refine later, but go through the process and get things done. So I fulfill my commitments. That's a big thing for me. I want to be a man of my word. I want to be able to say I'm going to do this and do it. I mean, how many times do you have somebody say, hey, let's do this and let's do that? And you're like, oh, yeah, cool. And then they never follow up or you never follow up and end up, you know, it's like kind of like New Year's resolutions. You know, it's kind of like you say, I'm going to do this. And you do it for a few weeks, but then you don't finish. You don't get it done. So that was something really, really big for me. So at this point, we took the time to release the limiting beliefs and we embraced and downloaded the new positive affirming beliefs. But I think, Chris, you said you felt some blockage at this point, so maybe you can go into that. What was that about?
Yeah, sure. So in Theta, it's kind of like you make a prayer and then and you down, or we call it command in this practice, and you release all the limiting beliefs, you download the affirming beliefs. But the problem was when this happened, I kind of felt like in my gut there was something stopping John. Like, sure, it sounds good, but there's still some blockage. It's kind of like when you're cleaning a drain. You know, like, crap, there's still something stuck there.
Right. We're not sure what it is, but it's like some of it got cleaned, but not all of it. Right. And another way to look at it is like we're computers, right? Our brains are like computers, and we're downloading programs. We're deleting old programs, and we're reinstalling and downloading new programs and beliefs. That's usually how I explain it. But so you felt the blockage, and I could tell myself that I wasn't really receiving all the things. So right here, we're kind of adjusting. And we were talking about my father showing his love by arguing with me. And then we started talking, and you started asking me some questions, and then we came up with a new one, which is going to show up here more. But it was more like, what do you want him to show you? How do you want your conversations to go? And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't really mind him questioning my decisions, but it was more could he communicate it in a better way? Could he be more open-minded and less condescending? Right? Because a lot of times he'll just say, no, that's bad, that's stupid, don't do it. And it's like, I understand where it can go wrong. I get that. But could you, talking to my dad, just be a little bit more understand where I'm coming from? Like, hey, maybe it can work this way. He's never tried it. I've never tried it. Why don't we give it a shot and see? And if it doesn't work, then hey, I will totally own my failure.
Yeah.
And that was, that's huge, right? So those of you who are parents out there, sometimes you gotta allow your children to make mistakes so that they can learn from them.
Yeah.
We can't keep them all overprotected and sheltered the whole time.
Yeah. I think it's important to be able to offer someone counsel, but still have them feel like a human, they feel like they're still important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for me, even personally, it's very empowering, right?
Yeah.
Allowing me to make my own mistakes and learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so yeah, there we go. My father is open-minded and able to communicate with me in a conversational way instead of a condescending way, right? That was huge. And I think after we did that, it cleared up a big thing with how my father showed his love for me, and it's no longer by arguing with me. He can be open-minded. And what was interesting is I like your process, Chris, because it's really like just making fine tunes, adjustments. It's like, let's get it out there, and then we can adjust the parts that aren't really making sense. You know what I mean? Like that's really cool, because we usually don't do that. We usually have like a set belief, and we just come up with the belief, and it's either got to be that or it's not. This way is a little bit more flexible. Okay, so what else did I get? Okay.
Oh, this is the good part. My father allows me to make my own decisions, supports me. If I fail, I learn from my own mistakes.
That was huge. And there was a big shift. I felt it, and it was just like a burden leaving.
It was based on father trusting you.
It was,
right?
Yep. Because for a long time he didn't trust me and believe in me, and there was like this whole cycle of, if he does trust me, then I'm gonna succeed, and then, when I succeed, he's gonna die. Like that was, I don't know if that's there yet.
Oh no, we didn't get there
yet. Did we do that? Oh,
alert.
okay. Okay, so there's
Let's go back to the making your own failures, because I know, like, my mom, right? Like, she's really... A lot of parents, they don't want their children to fail.
Exactly.
But it's really important that they
do
make their own decisions and they do fail.
Right.
That's where a lot of learning comes from, too.
Yep.
Of course, it's good for them to take your advice. You know? You want them to listen to you, your kids.
Absolutely. And you're doing it with the best of intentions. I get that, right? But you've got to allow them to make their own choices, make their own decisions, and experience, good or bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it's good, then they're going to be so much more proud. If it's bad, then sure, they're going to feel bad, but they're going to take it and they're going to learn from it, instead of, hey, I'm just going to, like every time I came up with an idea, I would get shot down immediately, and I would feel bad. And I still do it, but there was like that guilty feeling like, it's almost like I was sabotaging myself.
When you were talking about, what's it called? Letting your children make your own mistakes. I think the father over there turned around.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, it's hard. And you know what? By all means, it's very, very challenging and difficult to be a parent. And you know what I mean? Anything that happens to our kids, we're going to take full responsibility for. So we want the best for them.
This is a great place to do this recording. Like, I really miss the sun.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. By the way, we are outside of a restaurant called Piadina. Piadina, can you see that? Oh, it's too dark. They're not going to see the sign. But it's a really nice Italian market sandwich place.
Brought to you by... No, just kidding. We're not getting sponsored.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Right here next to the bite. But yeah, we're out here in Orange County, California. And there he goes. If I succeed, he will die.
Oh, yeah. You wanna talk
So
about
I had
that?
so I had this belief that, when I succeed, because my dad is, he lives his life really taking care of my mom and me, taking care of me. So I feel like if I succeed, he doesn't need to take care of me anymore. He'll lose his purpose. He'll literally lose his will to die, and he'll just die. So I have that belief somewhere ingrained in my subconscious.
How are we gonna fix that?
So we came up with that I am successful and my father can still live purposefully. Now, instead of saying when I succeed, because we were going to do when I succeed, but I want to be success. I feel that I am pretty successful right now. Maybe not in terms of finance, but in terms of relationships. I have good friends. I have a wonderful wife. I'm able to speak at a lot of different places, and I have some really, really new opportunities that are coming, and I'm like really excited about. So I feel successful in that manner. Now the last piece is the monetary piece coming in. So we changed that to, right, I am successful, my father can still live purposefully. Oh, and then we came up with another one, which was, I don't know if it's on here yet, but it was, if I succeed, I'll end up neglecting my father.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's a huge topic. Like, I think my mom, like, she's afraid, like, if I'm successful, like, oh, then he won't need me anymore.
Yeah,
Like, a lot of parents are like, oh, now my kid doesn't need me, and, like, they feel like there's no purpose in life, and that's something that bothers a lot of people.
They don't feel important anymore,
Yeah.
and they don't have a passion or a purpose for anything. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't want to retire and just do nothing. Like, that seems kind of boring to me. Like, my parents retired at 55. They're really young.
Yeah.
And my mom is a devout Buddhist, so she has a big passion. Is it picking up on the yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
It happens.
We just speak a little bit louder. No.
All right. Let's see. I'll just get closer to the mic here. All right. Let's see. So when I succeed. Oh,
real quick. I just want to say, as kids of parents, I think we should be really mindful of that and understanding of our parents, that they're going through this kind of transcendental struggle kind of thing.
Absolutely. And my suggestion that I'm inviting any parent is to really focus on something that you love. Do something that you love. Have something there. Of course, your children and your family's priority number one, but have something else that you're passionate about. Just my 2 cents. Okay, so what do we get here? So when I succeed, I'll be condescending, right? You said arrogant, and I was like, no. There's times when I get, when I make a lot of money, I get really, really, really condescending. I treat people like crap, like shit, literally.
I do that too.
It's like, I'm cool. I don't need you. I don't need to talk to you. I got money, blah, blah, blah. And it's really not good, and I don't want to do that. So we changed it to, when I succeed, I will give back and contribute. I'll be humble, generous, give thanks to the people who helped me on this journey. I want to acknowledge all the people who have helped me. And coming from that place, we didn't have to think about the money. The money, I believe, I know that it's going to be there. When you're humble, when you're generous, when you're just giving back, the money just follows you. That's just law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. The universe, secrets of the universe, whatever. It's just the way life is.
I think this is going to be a good video.
It already is a good video. It's a great video. And I think we're finishing up here. We got just a couple minutes left.
3 minutes left.
Okay, so actually, I don't know. I think that was there any other additional things?
I think now we're just downloading, releasing, reintegrating. We were doing a lot of finessing here before, with like the choice of words. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Just make sure that whenever you guys are doing any of this, to integrate at the end. We always want to integrate.
What does integrate
mean? Integrating means to really like internalize it. So it's kind of like installing the software into our programs. Because now we have like the new beliefs, right? The new downloads, the new things in. We want to integrate it both on a cellular level and an energetic level.
How do you do that?
You just say integrate. Boom.
Okay. Like a command.
Yeah, you just command it to integrate. Just like integrate everything today, because you want to internalize it, right? It's kind of like when you were sharing that story of your friend telling you had, that story where your friend about the partner.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you want to share that. That's, I don't know if you got time, but you were saying that. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sure. So then, there was this girl who wasn't, who said she couldn't have dinner with me. And then I was like really upset, you know? I was like, another rain check. I've gotten so many rain checks, you know? And then I was kind of telling my friend about it. And I was like, I don't know. I'm so sad, you know? And she was like, hey, dude, like a girlfriend is not a hobby. A girlfriend is your partner. And then for some reason,
Yep.
I was instantly happy. I was like, oh, I get it now.
Yep.
Like that's what I was doing wrong.
Yep.
And I don't know why. I don't know what does it have to do with integration.
Well, using partner, when you heard that word partner,
Yeah.
you internalized it.
Huh.
It integrated with you. Like, it's a part of your being now. It's
Yeah.
not just a piece of advice that somebody threw at you
Yeah.
and it went in one ear, out the other. It's, oh my God, it's not a hobby. Your girlfriend's not a hobby. She's a partner.
Yeah.
And that's like an aha moment where you just like, whoa, and you internalize that. So that's what I mean by integration. Like, all these beliefs sound good.
Oh,
So,
I
but
see.
we've got to integrate it
It's
so
like really
that
learning it.
yeah,
Internalizing
yeah,
it.
internalizing it and then implement it and apply it and be aware of these things. So the next conversation I have with my dad, I'm gonna look for him being open-minded and able to communicate with me in a conversational way, instead of most of the time I talk to him, I'm scared to bring up my business ideas because I know he's gonna go for it, and I'm always like looking for it too, in a weird way, right? It's like I'll call him and I'll be like, yeah, I'm doing this, and I'm blah blah blah, and then I know he's gonna say something. Well, what about this? And I'm like, there it is. So instead of searching for the bad, I'm gonna search for the good. And I think we got
58 seconds left. Any last words, John?
no. Oh, there's one last thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can make decisions using the perfect balance of logic and emotion. Okay, that was just I think a retype of that. No, I think if you guys have questions, feel free to leave a message for Chris or me. I can
Stop
answer
banging
them.
the table.
Oh, sorry.
It's coming on the microphone.
And that's about it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment.
Thanks. It's good to have you back, man. Freaking dude.
Great to be back. Thank you, Chris. It was good. All right, guys. Take care. We are out of here.